I'm someone who once lived with depression. That might surprise you, because I always looked fine on the outside. I smiled. I showed up. I carried the weight and inspired others. But the truth is, there was a time I was drowning in darkness and no one knew. Depression doesn't knock before it arrives. It comes quietly, slowly, like a fog that settles deeper each day. You don't even notice when it begins. You just realize one day, everything has become too heavy to carry. Depression is not just sadness, at least not the kind you can cry out and move on from. It's a deep, endless emptiness, a weariness so heavy that even waking up feels exhausting. There were mornings when I opened my eyes and thought, why am I even alive today? I laughed during the day and cried in silence at night. I had a stable job, a good relationship, but everything felt meaningless. I couldn't sleep. I barely ate. And sometimes I just wanted to disappear. No one knew, because I was so good at hiding it. I didn't want to be a burden, didn't want anyone to worry. But in hiding, I sank even deeper. I still showed up at work, still talked, still smiled. But it all felt like a performance, like I was watching life unfold from a distance, not truly part of it. You might wonder, why didn't you ask for help? I asked myself that question 1,000 times, but when you're in that place, you no longer believe anyone would understand. You're afraid of being judged, afraid of hearing things like, just stay positive, you're overthinking, try harder. So you stay silent, and in that silence, the pain grows heavier, deeper, darker. I remember one morning vividly. I couldn't get out of bed, not because I was physically sick, but because my mind had completely shut down. I stared at the ceiling with tears falling, not even knowing why. And then a thought crossed my mind. If I disappeared today, would anyone even notice? At that moment, I didn't feel anger or blame, just surrender, complete emptiness. But strangely, in that exact moment of surrender, something inside me stirred. I remembered what someone once told me. When you hit rock bottom, there's nowhere to go but up. And I knew then, I couldn't keep living like this. I got up, not because I was strong, but because I had no other choice. I wandered aimlessly through the streets, and somehow I ended up at a small meditation center. I had no plan, no expectations, just nowhere else to go. There I met an elderly monk. He looked at me for a moment, then said gently, "You're tired, aren't you? Then stop trying. Just sit, breathe, and let things be." For the first time in years, I was allowed not to be strong, not to explain, not to fight anything, just to sit. I learned to sit with my pain, to observe my emotions, fear, loneliness, sadness, without running from them. He didn't teach me how to fix my depression. He taught me how to be with myself, with all the wounds I had never allowed myself to feel. From then on, I began small practices each day, morning walks in silence, listening to birds instead of my phone, writing in a journal, not to complain, but to understand myself. I slowed down my meals. I turned off notifications. I slept earlier. And slowly, I heard something deep within me whisper, "I'm still here." Yes, I was still here. Beneath all the fatigue and sorrow, there was still a part of me that wanted to live, to love, to begin again. Healing didn't come all at once. It arrived gently, like sunlight slipping through a crack after a long night, softly, quietly, but enough to warm my heart again. I started to smile, truly smile. I felt grateful for the tiniest things. A warm cup of tea, a quiet melody, a peaceful afternoon sun. I am no longer the person I once was, and I no longer wish to be, because now I've learned to live slower, to listen more, to be honest with myself. Today, I understand. Depression didn't make me weaker. It made me more real, more human. And if you're in your own dark place right now, I just want to say, you are not alone. I've been there. I know that feeling. And I promise you, there is light beyond the pain. Find someone to talk to, a teacher, a friend, or even just yourself in the quiet pages of your journal. Breathe. Slow down. Be gentle with yourself, as you would with someone you love deeply. You don't have to be okay right away. You just have to be here. That's enough. I was someone who lived with depression, but that wasn't the end of my story. In fact, that was where I began to truly live, with gratitude, with compassion, and with a heart that no longer runs away. If you're standing in the dark right now, don't forget, the light has never left you. It's just waiting for you to look up. Be gentle with yourself. You've tried so hard, and you deserve peace, because you're still here, and there's still time to begin again.